doing a book haul today, which is an exciting one because I actually went with a couple of friends that I made at school. I know, it's incredible. I made a friend and we went to this, like, it was called the Giant Book Sale, and I was kind of like going into it with low expectations and expecting like a little bookshop with like, I don't know, like not that many books, like nothing really to choose from, and I was just gonna go like for something to do to look at books, because why not? They said all the books were gonna be like between $1 and $3, so I was like, you know, it's not really like that much of a risk. I thought like I might find one that would be really cool. So we get there and it's this giant warehouse, like it's huge, and just like one big room, and there's like all those like plastic tables, and there's just like rows and rows and rows of them, and then there's boxes underneath all filled with books. The section I was in was like antique books. Obviously I spent like most of the time in there, just because I love that stuff. It makes me like really emotional. Just like love it. But yeah, there was a section over on the other side, and it was like media, so there was like records and stuff like that, which I didn't even see. I only heard about it after, because like we kind of separated. I got 10 bucks for $25. So oh, and then like a little print that I'm gonna give to my mom. I'm gonna write like a little note on the back. And yeah, so I'm just gonna get into showing you the books I got and then how much I paid for them. I'll start with the one that was the most expensive, but still wasn't even very expensive. This was $10. It's a textbook on marine engineering, and I'm not into engineering or anything. I just thought it would be really cool to have, and like interesting to like read a page from here and there, just like to see what they were talking about. It's from, I don't even know what year it's from, to be honest. 1903, I think. Yeah, so it's like not super old, but still over 100 years, which just like, just saying that, just like holding something that's been around for so long. Okay, I also have to address a little bit of a tragedy. I was in the antique book section, and there was this little one, like this big, like really small, but it just like looked so old. The spine was kind of like breaking, and it just like, it looked like magical. Like I picked up and I told my friend, I was like, this gives me like really old, like magical vibes. Like, I don't know, it was weird. And then I opened it up and I saw the year in it, and I almost like really freaked out. It was from 1773. Yeah. That's so much older than any book I've ever seen in my life, and I don't know why I was hesitant about it, but I put it down, and then I turned around and I was like, you know what, I'm being stupid, like it's probably not gonna be very expensive. It was really small. It was probably gonna be like 10 bucks. Like, that's amazing for something that's that old for me, because of how much I value stuff that's that old. So I literally, less than a minute later, turn around to go pick it back up, and I saw a man holding it, and then he walked away to the cash with it, and I was like, oh no. I was so upset. Hopefully I'll have another chance and I'll be able to find another book that old again. Like, but anyway, so yeah, this book on marine engineering, I just really like it. I think it's cool. I like to imagine the people studying from it, and like the people who touched the same pages, and what they were wearing, and where they were sitting, and how their lives turned out. And like, anyways, I just really like it. The next one I got is this. It's called the Universal Handbook. This one is from 1925. Yeah, and this was $3, and it's literally just a little dictionary, and I just think it's really cute. There's little pictures in it. I love the 20s as well, and I just thought this was something really cool to have from that time period, and just to see like what their definitions were for words, if they've changed. I don't know, because I find like the meaning behind words something that's really fascinating, because like whoever writes the dictionary pretty much decides what the definition for words are. And there are certain words, and I've talked about this before, but there are certain words that like, they're not as interesting to think about the meanings behind them. But there are some words like more philosophical, like intelligence or family or anything like that, where the definition can be kind of like, you can definitely debate about what it means and everybody can have their own opinion. So I just kind of was interested to see like if the definitions, like, look, what to speak and how to say it, suggestive forms for speeches on various occasions, and just like, I don't know, I find that so interesting, and this is like primary source material from that time period, so I think like reading through it and will just be really interesting, and just like cool to have something that was printed in 1925, just because like, I don't know. So yeah, there's that too. Next, this one is also from the antique section, and I have literally no idea what this is. I just thought it was so pretty. I love the gold and the cream like background, and then these beautiful iris flowers. I love irises, and I just think like the soft color palette for this was just beautiful. And it was $1, so I was like, you know what? I don't even need to read it. It's just $1, so I can just get it because I like the cover, and like the end papers are really pretty too. And then next we have Sesame and Lilies, and again, I mostly just thought this was really cute. It was also just $1. I think this is kind of a more philosophical kind of book, with different opinions and political views, or just, yeah. So anyways, I just thought this would be interesting. If I decide to give it a read anytime, that would be cool, but I also just think it's really cute, and this spine is really pretty. This one is actually really exciting. It's called The Silent World by J.Y. Cousteau, or Jacques Cousteau, and he was like one of the first underwater photographers who kind of brought the underwater world to the surface and made it more accessible to people, because obviously technology has to be at a certain advanced level to allow for that, but I just thought it was really cool. The inner, like the blurb says, perhaps the most entrancing discovery of our time is the world under the sea, whose incommunicable beauty is now shared by an increasing number of skillful swimmers, cunningly equipped with aqualungs. I thought that was so cool, and like really showed the like difference, because now it's like, I don't know, they don't call them aqualungs anymore, and it just like was such a new technology. But I just love the way that even just in this blurb they describe the underwater world. I think it's beautiful. This was only $2, which is incredible. There's like some old underwater pictures here that I just thought were so cool. Yeah, so I'm really excited to give this kind of like a glance through and just see what how they viewed the ocean and stuff back then, when it was just like first becoming more accessible. Next we have a couple pretty exciting ones. These are a few of the like Penguin classics, and first, this one is something I've heard this author's name before, Evelyn Waugh, but I don't remember, like I don't know how I've heard it, or I definitely haven't read anything by him, but this is just so short that I figured like if I just feel like reading something a little bit different, I could read this and it wouldn't be like too much of an undertaking, just because it's so small. But I just like the title, The Loved One. I just thought it was cute, and I love these editions, and the fact this one is like actually a used kind of vintage copy is really cool. I've always wanted an edition of On the Road by Jack Kerouac in this edition. I don't know why, I just think I saw a photo of it one day and just like decided that that's what I wanted. But yeah, I really love these ones. I would love to collect as many of these as I could, of all sorts of different ones. Speaking of which, I found one more that is pretty cool, which is Wuthering Heights. This is my third copy of this book, and I haven't read it yet. But I think I'll be more inclined to read it from this copy than the ones I have, because the ones I have are a lot bigger and they're hardcovers. So I think this one will be a little bit easier for me to like bring around with me, and just like a little bit less intimidating and just kind of cool. So I think I'm gonna read from this one. But yeah, so this was also just $1, and this one was $1, which is just crazy. And then the last one that's kind of similar to that is Oscar Wilde's plays, and I love Oscar Wilde's. I read The Picture of Dorian Gray, and that quickly, immediately changed my life, and I can't imagine how I would like the kind of person I would be if I hadn't read that book, which is pretty crazy. Immediately became my favorite book, and then I read the Canterbury Ghost or something like that. I can't remember what it was called. Canterville Ghost, the Canterville Ghost, which I thought was going to be like scary, but it was actually really funny. So yeah, I want to read some more of his stuff, and I just really liked this edition. I thought it was cool. It has The Importance of Being Earnest, An Ideal Husband, Lady Windermere's Fan, A Woman of No Importance, and Salome. So I don't really know too much about these ones. Obviously, The Importance of Being Earnest is like the most famous, but I still don't even really know what it's about. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So I'm really happy to have this. Like, I really, really treasure this. If I could find an old copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray, ooh, that would be like, that's so high up there. So those are all the like vintage books that I found. Next, I just got this Ken Follett book, The Pillars of the Earth. Originally I was drawn to it just because I really liked the cover. I really love the like neutral kind of like antique look to it, and then the gold around the border and everything and throughout. And it's basically, I read the description, and it seems to be a book about like architecture. It says an extraordinary epic buttressed by suspense, a mystifying puzzle involving the execution of an innocent man, the erection of a magnificent cathedral, romance, rivalry. Why can't I speak? Romance, rivalry, and spectacle. A monumental masterpiece, a towering triumph from a major talent. So it just sounds pretty cool. It's really long, and like, I'm not the biggest fan of long books, to be honest, because I find like my problem is I have a bunch of books that I've started and haven't finished, and I find that like I like the book, but I'm mentally like past it sometimes, and I just like, because I don't read them that quickly, so if it's long and it's taking me forever to read it, I'm kind of like already mentally moved on to the next book before I'm finished the book I'm currently reading. So I don't normally read really long books. So I don't know when the heck I'll get around to this, but it was literally $2. Like at Chapters, this would have been $30 almost. So I mean, I thought, why not? Like, $2, if I ever get to reading it, it's fine. If I don't, like, it's really not a huge loss, and it's just like a nice, pretty book to have. Last thing I have is this incredible find, which was $3. $3 for one of these. Like, these are expensive. These hardcover, like, coffee table books are so expensive. And it just has, like, full color photos of his paintings, and I just like, oh, I absolutely love looking at art. Like, I need it, and I just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to describe it. Just like the fact that people can create things like this with their hands is just amazing. It's like, I love it. So yeah, I got that too for $3. It's crazy. But yeah, so that was amazing. I'm so happy that I went because I got all this amazing stuff for so cheap. And yeah, so I really hope that like we can go back, because there were so many things that I didn't have a chance to look at because we were there for like almost 2 hours, and like there was just so much stuff that I hadn't even looked at yet. It was packed, so it was kind of hard to walk around, but I was really happy that it was so busy, because it's like people were there with their kids, and then elderly people were there, children were there, all age groups were there, and experiencing and appreciating and looking at books, and it just made me really happy. So yeah, that's about it for what I got. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way through, that is awesome. And yeah, okay, that's it. Adios. See you later. Bye bye.